We are live.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the meeting of the Legislative Committee on Administrative Rules on August 10th. We're meeting this morning remotely to discuss a memorandum that we had asked Leg Council and Leg Council of the subject matter to come up with a memorandum regarding Emergency Rule 23E05 and some concerns that we had around that. We will not be taking up the minutes from the last meeting. We'll take it up in August 24th. So we'll get right into the memorandum. Hopefully everyone's had a chance to read this. We as a committee have agreed to take this step. It's related to the emergency rulemaking, the pandemic era general assistance emergency housing transition. We had concerns about, along with committees of jurisdiction, chairs of committees of jurisdiction, around the lack of separation between the housing benefit and the general assistance rules and general assistance program. And we also had concerns raised by Vermont Legal Aid around the lack of a definition around misconduct and lack of guidance around the appropriate alternative placement. So appreciate the work of Anthea and Katie. And Anthea, I want to turn to you so you can speak to it, speak to the memo. And then anyone who has comments, we can discuss it and then decide what we want to do moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Scroll. I think you did a very good job summarizing the memo. Lindsay, if you give me sharing access, I can put the memo up on the screen so that everyone is literally on the same page. Great, thanks, Lindsay. Okay, so everyone should be able to see the draft memo. The things I want to highlight for you are who the memo is to. So this memo is going to go to the Secretary of State, Sheila Livingston. She's the Director of Policy for the Agency of Human Services. And then Heidi Moreau, who you're used to seeing in these meetings. She's the Policy Analyst for the Department for Children and Families. It also is going to be CC'd to the chairs of the subject matter committees, which is including the money committees, the appropriations committees, and then your Senate Committee on Health and Welfare to Senator Lyons and the House Committee on Human Services, and also a CC to Louise Corliss. She is the APA coordinator for the Secretary of State's office, which means it'll end up sort of in the file for this rule. It comes from you. The date is today. We would change that if the memo did not go out today. And the subject is the rule. The first paragraph, very similar to a lot of the other memos that you send to committees of jurisdiction, lay out what the committee did at the last meeting. You voted to neither approve nor object to the rule, and you are explaining why what you're basing that on, which was the committee of jurisdiction memorandum that you got, the written and oral testimony from Vermont Legal Aid, and then the oral testimony from the Department for Children and Families, and there are links to the written document. So that's your first paragraph. Second paragraph is sort of a summary of what this memo is going to contain paragraph. It says that it's going to explain what LCAR's concerns are with the rule and what LCAR's expectations are for how the Department for Children and Families is going to move forward. And then it's got a little bit of an explanation of the timeline here. So what you're asking for in the balance of the memo is that the Department for Children and Families work to bifurcate, to separate out the temporary emergency housing transition benefit from the general assistance program and the general assistance rules, and that shall ideally take effect not later than October 15th, 2023. To meet that timeline, you are asking that a memorandum providing an update on the efforts and what's happening with respect to that bifurcation, and the other piece, the concerns from Vermont Legal Aid, being elaborated upon and regulated through another rule, that update memorandum come to LCAR not later than noon on September 18th, 2023. That is the deadline under your rules for a document to be considered at your meeting on Thursday, September 21st. So that's about a month before you want the rules to be in effect on October 15th, 2023. And then to involve the chairs of the subject matter committees, you are asking that a copy of what is intended to be adopted for that October 15th requested deadline be provided to the committees of jurisdiction not later than September 28th of 2023. So an outline of your timeline here. Your next paragraph is talking about the conflation of the temporary benefit with the general assistance program and the general assistance rules, and saying that this is the piece that LCAR found to be inconsistent with legislative intent, but that you are choosing not to object to the rule. You are also including a sort of acknowledgement of the position that the Department of Children and Families was in here, in that there is a very tight window to have these be effective for July 1, 2023, when there were the legislative changes, and the fact that there are some efficiencies that are accomplished by having the rules kind of piggyback off of procedures that already exist through the general assistance program and the general assistance rules. So you're kind of saying, we get why you did what you did. We still don't think it's consistent with legislative intent. We didn't object, but this is why we're concerned with the approach that you took. Next paragraph is talking about the expectation that you have, elaborating upon that October 15th deadline, saying that failure to disentangle, to bifurcate the two, the program from the benefit, could lead to LCAR choosing to object when the next emergency rule comes before LCAR. You know that even if they don't hit that requested October 15th deadline, that they need to come back to you because the current rule can only remain in effect until December 28th of 2023. You explain in this paragraph why you want the rule to be effective on October 15th, not wait until December 28th. And then the final piece, the final sentence of this paragraph, I think is important because it's again kind of going back to that acknowledgement of, we know why you did this, efficiencies. Just because we're telling you that it's our expectation to be consistent with legislative intent that you separate these two things, we're not going to say you need to recreate the wheel. If you reference other rules, if you incorporate other rules, that is not something that we would view as being a conflation of the temporary benefit and the program. Last paragraph on this page is talking about the concerns that the committee had that were raised by Vermont Legal Aid. This is the lack of a definition of misconduct and that there is not sufficient guidance about what is an appropriate alternative placement. You're saying that despite the fact that Heidi and DCF indicated that they would be working on policy documents to address the concerns that were raised by legal aid, given the fact that the balance of this is in rule, LCAR's request and expectation is that the concerns that were raised by legal aid that LCAR shares will also be addressed through rule. And that's why you're asking that the draft of the rules go to the chairs of the committees of jurisdiction by that September 28th date. And then the last piece is expressing that Heidi already indicated that DCF was willing to provide an update memo to LCAR, and you're saying that you want that by noon on September 8th, 18th, 2023, so that LCAR can further discuss it at its September 21st, 2023 meeting and potentially take testimony from the Department for Children and Families, which they might want to do to explain what's in the memo and not just have it be something that's in writing, sent to you, and then filed away. So that's the structure of the letter. The contents of the letter certainly can tweak it and make changes. I worked on this with Jen and Katie, and I will loop them in if there are more substantive, not so much procedural questions. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you have, and I'll take this down so you can see your faces. Okay.
Do we have any questions? Jenny, you want to weigh in? Senator Lyons and I had met because when Jen, Katie, and Anthea were working on this memo, there were some dates that need to be decided. So we had met and discussed what those dates should be based on what the subject matter committee chairs were interested in seeing. So that's where those dates came from. So Senator Lyons, I don't know if you want to add anything to this conversation.
No, I think it's pretty clear. Anthea, thank you for all the work that you did on this, and also Chair Squirrel. I think the dates, they are fair. as you know, in particular, the earlier date of October 15th. But I think it's important for us to see the direction that we're going and make sure that everyone is on the same page. So I don't have any further comments.
Okay. Senator Bray, you sent me a note saying you were concerned about, are you there? Can you speak to us? I'm seeing the screen, but I'm not seeing Senator Bray, and I'm not hearing Senator Bray. Not sure why there's a screen there if he's not connected. I want to make sure we're sure that that Senator Bray can participate in this. Let me, Lindsay.
Yes, I'm here. I see that Senator Bray is in the room. It looks like his video and audio is on.
He just sent me a text. I hear you, but you cannot hear me.
Senator Bray, do you happen to have earbuds or anything that's plugged into your laptop? Sometimes unplugging those things help. You also could leave the meeting and come back into the meeting. Maybe that might help. Do you happen to have a Post-it note over your camera by any chance?
All right. Well, while we're waiting for
Okay, I
Senator
think
Bray.
we hear typing, Senator Bray,
Yes.
and we can hear you.
We hear you.
Okay, great. Fantastic. Are there any, again, Anthea, thanks for all your work on this and great explanation of the memo. Are there any questions, comments, discussion from committee members? Representative Bongartz.
I would just say it's a model of clarity. I think it does exactly what we asked for, and I don't have any comments other than to say it's a great job. I think it does exactly what we were looking for.
Yeah, thank you. Anybody else? Senator Bray?
Thanks to everybody.
Yeah, so I'm just test driving whether or not you can hear me now. Fine.
We can hear you. Can't see you, but we can hear you.
I'm not sure why the blurry image thing is all about.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
Okay. Any other
How about
questions,
now?
comments?
We can barely see you on this, whatever.
Okay.
It's
Then I guess I'm looking for a motion.
I move,
Mr. Chair, that we I move that we approve the letter and have it sent.
Okay. Motion from Senator McDonald that we approve the memo as presented by Ledge Council. Any more discussion? All those in favor, please say aye and raise your hand so we can see that. Aye.
Aye.
And your voice is fine, Senator Bray.
thank you. I'm not sure what the video is doing.
Okay. Well, thanks, everyone. That'll be the end of the meeting. Next meeting is scheduled for August 24th. We, Anthea and Lindsay and I chatted a little bit about, we only have 2 rules for that meeting and trying to, Anthea, do you have a sense of the time that would take those 2 rules? Is there anything controversial or give me a sense of that? Yeah.
They're short. They're OPR rules. I think there's just been a delay with them. One is about funeral homes and one is about notaries. Based on the lack of comments, I think probably not too controversial and probably pretty quick. So I would say a shorter meeting, probably not as short as this meeting, but I think it would be on the shorter side.
Yeah, so the conversation we were having is that we're operating under rules just for this year, 23, and there'll be potentially a new set of rules in 24 regarding remote meetings. As you know, we can have 3 remote participations, if you will, per individual. outside of COVID issues. And some of us might be bumping up against that, but the fact that we have to have new rules in January anyways means we're not really using up anything that we might want to utilize in 24. So let me take sort of a poll here. Are folks interested in maybe doing one more remote meeting on the 24th? Otherwise, we would have to get postponements from the different departments to extend those rules. But we could take them up on the 24th remote. Anthea.
You will also need to get OPR, give OPR a further extension on their 8-month adoption deadlines for those two rules. This is the one that you extended
Yeah.
and then extended
Okay.
again.
Okay. So Representative Odie?
I think I'd prefer to get the extensions if that isn't a problem at all. If Anthea doesn't see a problem with that, because if people are away and want to join remotely from away, and we use up another one of our remote meetings, then it's just less flexibility to get things done as the fall turns to January.
Other members? So
Agreed.
go ahead, Senator McDonald.
I thought what Representative Odie said made sense, and you have crafted a solution here to deal with that.
Okay. So Anthea?
So I think if you're going to do that, what you probably want to do is right now grant them an extension on their 8-month adoption deadline to like September 28th, and then ask them for the corresponding extension on the 45-day piece. So you're saying, look, we're giving you an extension on the 8-month adoption deadline. Can you also give us the 45-day piece? Otherwise, they'll be in a position where they're going to have to, unless they're willing to grant the 45 days, adopt. They're going to blow past their September 1 adoption deadline and then need to get a retroactive extension on their adoption deadline, which I think they would rather know that they were getting that prior to agreeing to the 45-day extension.
So you're
right
saying
now-
9/28?
Yeah, I picked a week after the meeting just because then they need some time to get the
Yeah.
filings done. So right
Yeah.
now, your 45-day review period is up on September 2nd, and their 8-month adoption deadline is up on September 1st. So just pushing now the 45-day review, you'd be requesting that go to September 21st and giving them the 8-month adoption deadline, pushing it out to September 28th.
And so we would probably need to take a vote on both rules,
Yeah.
correct? Okay. Is everyone feeling comfortable with that we push? So we'll end up with, looks like 5 rules on 9/21 if we do this, right?
Yeah, it'll be 5 rules on 9/21. And then if you choose to discuss your anything you get in response from DCF
Sure.
on the emergency housing.
Okay,
So
I think
we'll
that's
actually-
something.
There will actually be 6 rules because we just received one today, this morning. The home visit rule. So there'll be 6 rules for the 21st. And the
Okay.
deadline for the September 21st meeting is August 29th, I think. So we
Sounds
might
right. It would
be,
be 3 weeks before.
yeah, we might be getting more rules in.
But we could choose to put them off too.
Yeah, you could.
Right, yeah. Okay, we can manage that then. Is everyone okay with this conversation? Okay, so we won't meet
Yeah.
on the 24th of August, meet on September 21. We now have to take 2 votes. I need motions on 22P26 and 22P27 as far as extending the adoption period.
I move that we extend the adoption period for those 2 rules.
We need to do them separate.
Okay, for 22P06.
Okay. Motion from Senator Lyons on extending adoption period for 22P26. Discussion. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. Okay,
And I'll move the extension on 22P27
to 9/28.
to 9/28.
Okay. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. And Anthea, you'll take care of or you and Charlene will take care of the other changes that need to take place. Is there any other business? I think we're all set. Hey, thanks for everyone joining today to take on this, and this will give, good morning, Mark.
Good morning. Sorry I'm late. It looks like I had to reboot my Zoom, so I didn't know that. I'm not too tech savvy that quick.
Oh, okay. So were you hanging out there in the waiting room or something, or?
Well, just for a very short period of time, but
Oh,
if
okay.
what you voted on was Anthea's letter,
Yes.
I'm good with that as well.
Okay.
Do you want
All right,
to
thanks,
reopen
everybody.
your, do
Okay.
you want to reopen your vote or just have it be 701?
Do we move to do that, Anthea?
No, it's up to Mark. Does Mark want to do that?
No, that's fine. You're good. You're good.
Okay, great. All right. Well, thanks, everyone. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.